All right, so this is for, as you can see, it's a 2003 Ford Motorco Expedition. Yeah, all of that, all of that. So this is for a 2003 Ford Expedition with rear heat and AC. So you got the, you got the heat and AC, the other heated core, the other evaporated core back there. If you're trying to do a heated core for the front because you have a leak from your heater core, I recommend taking out the front bench seat because like that would be all up in the seat. The seat would be right there. So recommend doing that. This is really for just anybody who's trying to do a heater core, but they can't find anything on the 03 Expedition with the rear AC because there's a couple of more things you have to worry about. I recommend, there are videos about cutting the heater core lines from the inside and everything. I definitely recommend doing that. But this is for if you're trying to install the new heater core and you can't cut the new heater core pipes. There's no recommendation for that. So what you got to do is you have to take off, there's an 11 millimeter nut that goes right here. Your heater core hoses go, where did they go? They go, hold on, let me get the light. There's just some light in there. All right, so there is an 11 millimeter nut right here. I'll get the focus going. Come on. 11 millimeter nut that goes right here. You gotta take that off. This bolt actually goes to the heater core. To the air box. So you gotta take that nut off. Those are your two heater core where your two heater core hoses go. Mind you, this is for an 03 Expedition with rear heat and AC. 11 millimeter nut that goes right here. It looks like this. There are 3 total that you have to take off on the engine side of the firewall. There's 3. So 1, 2, 3. They look like this. They're 11 mils. They're not 10s. They're not 12s. They're 11s. You don't really have to disconnect the AC lines right here. Sorry. You don't have to disconnect the AC lines right here. Like, I'm almost done with it. I'm not quite there yet. You don't have to disconnect the AC lines right here. But you do have to take off the 10 millimeter nut that comes from the compressor. So where is it? This is I believe that's your low side line. Low side line runs all the way over here to this little brick. This is your thermostatic expansion valve. I can't remember what it's called actually, but it's your TXV. You have to take off a 10 millimeter nut, and that goes, it's sandwiched in there, but it goes, I'm trying to do this impromptu. It goes, can you see it? I don't know if you can see that, but it goes right, hold on, which finger can I get in there? It's like stuff everywhere, man. There's a 10 millimeter nut that goes right in that little hole right there. I don't know, you can't really see it. But anyway, there's a 10 millimeter hole that goes right there. I don't know if you can see that in the middle of that brick right there, where there's a little hole right there. The 10 millimeter nut bolt that goes in there, you have to take that off to allow the TXV to actually move. So you have to take this, there's a nut on this side of this brick. You have to take that 10 millimeter nut off. This comes off and allows the TXV to actually move. So you got to take that off, replace those O-rings. Don't be like me. But there's where's that stud at? Hold on, let me get my pry bar. There is a 10 millimeter nut that's holding a bracket, right? Where is it at? The 10 millimeter nut that's holding the bracket onto this bolt that comes out of the air box. I'm trying to get it to focus. There's so much crap in the way, bro. It doesn't want to focus. But there's a 10 millimeter nut that holds a bracket, this bracket down here, onto this stud right here. That stud right there that my pry bar is touching. I'm trying to get it to focus, but it won't. A little more. All right, don't want to focus. But as you can see, the washer left a dirt ring around it. So there's a 10 millimeter nut that goes on top of this. That 10 millimeter nut holds a bracket. That bracket way down there. You see that red cable down there? Way down there? It's holding that bracket onto this stud. So once you take that 10 millimeter nut off, the nut comes off. There's a bracket on here that comes off. And then there's one of these. There's one of these 11 millimeter nuts that goes onto, where'd it go? Hold on. Get you guys back situated. There's another 11 millimeter bolt that sandwiches up against the wall. That's where that dirt ring is from. It's from that 11 millimeter nut. So you have to take off the 10 millimeter nut, take off the bracket, and then you can get to that 11mm nut, take that bracket off. That helps loosen up the air box. And then there's another one way down there. It might be easier for you to go underneath the car. Actually, I couldn't remove it until I got underneath the car, so let's do that now. So there's another one that's way under the car. It's like above the pre-cat O2 sensor. I'm trying to see if I can get you guys to be able to see it. Actually, let me get my flashlight. Hold on. There is my longer pry bar and my flashlight, which is right there. There is another 11mm nut that's way down here. So let me get situated. So let's see. It's way down here. I'm gonna try not to short on the battery ground. It's way down here. So my pry bar is pointing at it. Hold on. Still can't see it. I need it to focus. So it's way down there. See that little dirt ring down there? Boom, right there, right there. That stud right there, there's another 11mm nut that goes on that stud. So that's your 3. So that's number 3. So I'm doing this in order of easiest to hardest to get to. Number 1 is, get a light on it. Number 1 is that one right there. That one right there, which is under your heater hoses. That's where your heater hoses are. So that's number 1. Number 2 is down here, right there, that stud that's sticking out. Hold on, let me get my light on it. Number 2 is that stud right down there where my light is. Sorry, it won't focus. I'm doing this on my phone, real impromptu, trying to get the stuff out the way. There's a stud down there. Hold on. That stud right there with that dirt ring around it. That's number 2. There's a 10 mil, so it, from way out, so it's like 1, 2, 3 level of depth. So on the stud, there's a 10mm nut, then a bracket, and then the 11mm nut. You won't be able to see the nut till you get the bracket off, really. So the 10mm nut, there is a, there we go, down there, right down there. There's a 10mm nut, and then a bracket, and then a 11mm nut. Take that off. And then way down there, if I get it to focus. Come on. I don't want to focus. Way down there is, where's it at? I can't get, okay, there we go. Way down there, there's another 11mm nut. I had to go under the truck to get it. So I had to put the e-brake on, chalk the back wheels, lift it up, get an 11mm ratcheting wrench on there. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I can't really focus, but it's right there, boom, right there. That right there. Take that off. And then you take off the 10mm nut for the brick that goes to the TXV. And then you'll be able to move these AC lines right here, because that goes directly into the airbox. And then what I'm hoping is, I haven't actually quite proven this yet. I'm not really sure if this works. But what I believe you can do is, once you cut out the old one and everything, I believe what you should be able to do is, I actually cut little slits in this sort of body gasket right here. So I cut slits so the pipes can slide through them, because this is one big piece. I plan on taking this pipes and sliding it through this hole, and then once it goes in its hole, it's gonna close back up, kind of, sort of. Did that for both. But what I plan on doing is, I plan on just hand bending these pipes just enough to get over this hump, because this is actually, that's actually like firewall right here. That's not just, like lining or felt or whatever. That's actually firewall there. So that's actually like a hard piece of body metal. And the pipes normally, like once you slide it in this box, the pipes come right about here. So you have to have about a good like 1.5 to 2 inches or so of like movement away from the firewall. So once you get those 3 bolts out, there are those 3 bolts. It is another one under here, right there, and then this right here on the other side, there's a stud on the other side, and that's what actually gets you that's what actually is the one that's down by the O2 sensors, right in here somewhere. So when you go in the car, look at the pre-cat O2 sensor on the passenger side, so bank 2 sensor 1. you actually see the stud right here. This is actually a grommet. Hold on. This is actually a grommet for that stud. So that stud is like right about there. But that's the bottommost stud on the firewall on the outside. Take off this 10mm bolt and allows this whole thing to move. Actually, I'll take that back. Hold on. Actually, that's the stud. I'm sorry. That's the stud. I don't know what this is, but whatever. Probably a locating pin. Whatever. Anyway, come back up here. And what I plan to do is I plan to bend these enough to get it around this piece of the firewall, slot it in, and then like bend them back on the engine firewall side. That's what I plan on doing.